Markets rebounding today after 3 days of losses, and the continued volatility had us wondering how the retail investor is looking at the moves. Here to discuss that is Sally Krawcheck, co-founder and CEO of Ellevest, which just announced a new round of funding. Sally, welcome to the set. I know, congratulations on the latest funding round. $53 million in Series B. We'll get to that in just a minute, but I do want to ask you what the mindset of the retail investor is at this point, and if they are shying away from the markets, if they're investing through, what's going on?
Yeah, well, what we're seeing at Ellevest is you may have heard the research that women tend to stand a bit more firm than men during market volatility. And just as we saw in the pandemic-related downturn, we're seeing net inflows every week where the women are, you know, the attrition rate remains low. They're continuing to put assets to work, mostly because they have recurring deposits. So it's a set it and forget it.
Are they investing in different things under the surface?
Nope. Diversified investment portfolios in order to achieve their goals. Of course, we get questions about, should I invest in crypto? Should I invest in this Bitcoin? But in general, it's, I have goals, I want to achieve them, and this is a diversified investment portfolio that I hope will get me there.
So I'm curious, when you see a very big down day or a very big up day, does that change the flow? Is it a contraindicator? What happens?
No. You know, in fact, we put out so much work, Karen, on stay the course, stand your ground, recurring deposit. If you are so fortunate to invest in a down market, you know, historically, you would have always won, right? That if you put your money to work in the equity market on a 15-year period, 99% of the time since the 1920s, you had a positive return. And if you had recurring deposits, it was 100% of the time. And so that kind of messaging of don't freak out over it and just keep on moving has been such a winner historically.
Sally, you've done an amazing job of sort of demystifying this for people. Speak to how important it is, specifically your client base, to feel empowered. And, you know, they're probably talking to friends and bringing in family members, and your community continues to grow. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, well, first, Guy, I'd like to address the word empowered, because I would actually argue that women do not need to be empowered, that they have power, and they just need to recognize it. And part of that power is the majority of their money is sitting in a bank account, which is not good in most times, but of course in an inflationary environment is even worse. And so with Ellevest being founded as really the company, the investing company built by women for women, we talk directly to them and about issues that really affect them, like the fact they're probably going to live longer. Some 80% of women die single. 90% manage their money on their own at some point in their lives. And so having those conversations with them and having them really feel seen and having a product, we spent 2 years doing research on women to really build the product around them, enables them to begin to invest with confidence. And part of the reason our growth is accelerating is then they tell someone, and they tell someone, and they tell someone.
With the money that you raised, according to my notes, you're going to be hiring people. It's time to sort of grow the platform, expand. And I'm wondering what you saw during the pandemic, because we saw a wave of retail investors join the market, and we here on Fast, at least, we've talked about them in the context of Reddit investors, meme stock investors, and not to say that a cohort of those investors are not your client base either. It certainly can be complementary. But what have you seen? We
saw during, you know, the meme stock, we saw some customers sort of wash in and wash out. But what they actually asked us for during the pandemic, you're not going to believe this, is I want a career coach. I know. I did the same thing. I'm like, really? What? You know, we're an investing firm. And essentially, when you look at research around women and money, they're like, I want to earn more at work. And most companies then are like, yeah, but would you like a high interest rate checking account? Right. And so my team said, we need to hire some career coaches. And I said, well, we'll test anything. And that thing has taken off. And so what we've learned about women is they tend to think about money holistically. If I trust you as a financial advisor, can you help me earn more? Can you help save more? Can you help me spend less? Can you help me invest more? And so that's, you know, where we're putting quite a bit of this money is career coaches, certified financial planners, private wealth advisors, in addition to investing in the core business.
And I would imagine that makes the customer that much stickier.
Yeah, well, and
with your
look,
platform.
Our goal is not to be a product. Our goal is to be there for women in money, college to crypt, to really just surround her as she goes through her money journey.
Sally, it's always great to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Come by again. Sally Krawcheck of Ellevest. Brian Kelly, we talk about a lot of sort of robo-investors, investing platforms. in the context of, let's say a Morgan Stanley, et cetera, but this is a very different offering.
Right. This is very bespoke, right? And I think it's really amazing what Sally's been doing with this, because it is not just about, hey, have a 60-40 portfolio and we'll talk to you at the end of the year. Here's your statement, right? She's talking about doing the entire life cycle planning of it, which is a real niche, and it's clearly, based on her success, something that is needed out there.
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled with that $53 million raise, right? I think it's just, I know how hard it is to raise money, and just to get it done in that environment. And, meanwhile, FinTech is trading not great, as I'm sure you saw, and yet you were able to do it. Now, I just full disclosure, I am an investor in Ellevest, so I think Sally's the best. So, I mean, fantastic.
She's got a lot of fans on the set and out there, remote traders.